1, 2, 3, 4. Test. Welcome, race fans, to the virtual Indianapolis Raceway Park. Sorry for the technical difficulties here to start this race. We're under our first caution period of the day as Scott Kalal and Dalton McKinney both had solo spins on the back straightaway on lap number 4. But as we work lap 9 here, we're coming around to start lap 10. The front row, Trevor Edwards, Shane Wolf, the first restart of the race, the first green flag you all will see as the iRacing.com safety vehicle finds its safety down the pit lane. The field in the hands of the 71 of Trevor Edwards as he's elected the outside lane tonight here in virtual Brownsburg, Indianapolis. The Indianapolis Raceway Park roars to life again, racing from IRP. Clean start for Trevor Edwards, or clean restart, if you will. The battle for second, Shane Wolf and Harris really coming to blows here. Harris trying to get that little bit of a diamond exit there. Shane Wolf sideways. Shane Wolf, the gateway race winner, trying to fend off that hard-charging 87.
Go to battles up front here early. A lot of battles will keep on tap the whole night, but Emerson, one place I want to kind of bring a little bit of warning to is what we might see here off turn 2 tonight. It's a very tight end of this racetrack, usually where we see a little bit of chaos, and if you were watching practice, we saw a few trucks take it off that area of the wall hard.
Yeah, this track is very deceiving, if you will. The corners, although this is only a 2/3 of a mile racetrack, the corners are a little bit longer than you think. The track very flat. The entry, you think like you might be carrying just enough speed to make it to the corner, and all of a sudden you've just overcooked it. The right rear steps out on you. There's a lot that this track can trick these drivers with. You see Bo Brady experimenting with the outside retaining wall contact. That's live. Contact off the nose of Godinez. That one of our cut line drivers, Austin DeLong, makes hard contact with the 9 of Bo Brady, and the second caution of the night comes out.
Kind of a chaotic situation right there, really fast. We'll go back and take a look at it here, but the first thing I saw was the 9 truck kind of going around, and then after that it was kind of chaos. We'll see what happened right here.
I mean, so he was a little scared there on the entry, and that was not DeLong, by the way. That was the 12 of Shane Ledoux. that made contact there. But what you saw, what we saw live, right, was Bo Brady enter turn 3 and hit that wall, JB. And so after he'd already been in the wall, one, he had lost momentum. Two, he was probably scared of getting into that wall and corner exit and
Yeah.
exited lower than Godinez maybe expected, and they came together.
And unfortunately, it looks like the 12 of Shane Ledoux took the brunt of that, getting into the side of that 9 machine. Both drivers look like they're able to continue right now, but there was definitely a couple hard hits in there. And I talked about it with our race admin, Jim, before the race started. The front stretch is kind of a dangerous spot because it's much like Dover, where it kind of bottles up and there's really no escape route. And those guys were running so tight for about the last 4 laps there that was inevitably what was going to happen.
You're so right, JB. I mean, the wall on both sides adds to that. And then also, this track is just so small. By the time you come off the corner and you have the ability to steer your truck anywhere you want on the straightaway, you're already looking to turn into the next corner. So the Dover analogy is very much true here, especially on the front stretch. But it can even happen on a back stretch just because of how short the straightaways are.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And you know, I've driven a couple races here at IRP, not a ton, and I have to say that's just my experience from it. And what I remember about IRP though specifically is kind of try to run that diamond line. The problem is it's not when you're running by yourself, it's when there's another truck there. Because it's easy to chop somebody's nose off on corner exit, or maybe in the middle of the track. You know, you're not giving somebody enough room to come up. We did see a few trucks, including the 24 of Connor Cunningham, in practice actually run all the way around the apron, which is an option as well. But you just have to run these corners at such a unique shape that sometimes that leads to some issues that we see. All right, looks like we're about to get back going.
Coming to the restart here, Trevor Edwards, James Shanel side by side. More technical difficulties there, apologies there, but Trevor Edwards will lead us back to green. It's our second restart of the day. 18 laps complete, working lap 19 now. One lap removed from the restart, Trevor Edwards, James Shane Wolf, Andrew Harris, Jeffrey Radke, Kyle Johnson. The top 5. How about the sub of Aaron Johnson in an 89 machine sat in 7th, trying to roar his way forward. As everyone, you're right, JB, working a little bit of that diamond line. You're going to see it start to creep up, but later we get into these green flag runs. This is the more opportunities you'll see these drivers try to do those diamond runs. But if you overcook it, just like Shane Wolf did right there, nearly allowing the 87 of Andrew Harris to get underneath him, that could become troublesome as Shane Wolf now trying to fend off the hard charging Andrew Harris as 21 laps complete here at IRP.
Yeah, and you talked about it. The line does move as the run goes. You see Trevor Edwards out in front. He's kind of got the whole track to himself. He's got a lot of options to run. We go a little further back here where you have trucks kind of all over the place. You don't really have options. You see Bo Brady way up there, even getting into the outside wall a little bit in the center of the corner. This is hard. Yeah, this gets really difficult right through here because you just can't run your preferred line. And the bottom works early, but you don't want to get stuck there because if you're stuck there for any moment of time, you quickly get in trouble. You can even get stuck down there.
But you see someone like Bo Brady right now, he might need to get down to that bottom end. He is just not comfortable up there. He is hanging on for dear life, and you saw he almost, I mean, we almost had a direct replay of what happened just a few laps ago, where Bo Brady and Godinez nearly came together. But you see Merriman there losing some ground. Merriman was one of those cut line drivers, actually the driver tied for the cut line right now. Coming into today's race, in contact as Sidor gets into the tailgate of the 9 machine of Bo Brady. This is all jumbled up back here. This is going on for the 13th position.
Yeah, this is backside of the top 10 and, you know, front side of 10th through 20th, and it's scrappy right through here.
That it is.
A little strung out up front, but this is the battle. And Emerson, you know, we put on the bottom of the screen here as we updated it, cut line information, and a lot of these guys right in through here are those guys.
Yeah, to this point in the season, we've had more than 8 winners, but at the moment, 8 winners are still eligible for playoff contention this season. That is also dependent on Jeffrey Radke racing next week as well. But with that, that does leave at least 7 spots up for grabs for points. And there's more to that later on if we get to it. But as we speak right now, or at least as we speak coming into today's race, Connor Cunningham and Sean Merriman were tied for the cut line today. 0 points between them, 15th and 16th in the playoff standings. At that moment, if today was the first race of the playoffs, they'd both be in.
Yeah, the ties get in here at Speed Racing Network, so you're very much right about that.
Oh, near contact there behind as that was Cunningham trying to work on the 0 Chris Luttrell. But back up front, this is the battle for second, and now here we go with Luttrell and Trevor Edwards.
I think a couple trucks blinked out right there, so we kind of bounced around. That was one thing Jim did mention to me pre-race as well. Saw a few trucks having some blinking issues in practice, and that's always something you have to keep an eye on, especially at a track like this where the racing is so close quarters. You know, if iRacing believes that you're in the environment and then no longer in the environment, that can lead to contact of what we call netcode, and we've seen that lead to some unfortunately large incidents in the past.
Absolutely, and it could be a server-wide thing.
Yeah, we've seen that a couple times
today.
As well. Yeah.
You see there, Jeffrey Radke trying to close in on Andrew Harris. This is third, and this is McKinney.
Yeah,
we
have a caution right here. McKinney was around where it occurred.
Bo Brady.
Take a look at it here. You'll see the 46 and the 9. Corner exit. Man. Oh, yeah. And Bo Brady got the worst of that. Yeah.
Oh, Brady, big hit. So
take a look at it one more time here, Emerson.
I mean, oh, big hit.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Bo, trying his hardest, right, to not get into that turn 4 wall, but what's not being fully rendered there, or is not, fully considered there, is the truck underneath him is going to wash up. And so while Bo Brady's trying to diamond down, the truck that's on the bottom of a very flat racetrack is going to come up. And that's the second incident in 30 laps for Bo Brady making contact with a truck to his inside.
And you saw it right there from the in-car. You know, all of a sudden you just see the door of the 46 appear. Depending on what your field of vision is set to, you might not even see that guy on the inside until he's 100%. There.
Single monitor racers will not.
Yeah, can relate. That's just a tough. That's unfortunately that's probably going to be end of day damage to that 9 truck if I had to imagine.
That was huge.
Meanwhile, interesting development. So this was the first time we've seen any pit road action occur, and it looks like everybody but the top 2, that would be Trevor Edwards and Aaron Johnson, 2 of our subs here this evening, stayed out. Everybody else, Jason Kradke on back, came down, and Kradke wasn't running in this position earlier, so I haven't checked to see what the pit numbers look like, but I'm going to guess that was not a 4-tire stop.
Well, for Kradke, he came in on lap 6 on the first caution of the day, and at that point maybe just topped off on 2 or maybe 2 tires. So Kradke did not come in on this caution. So Trevor Edwards, Aaron Johnson, Jason Kradke, the top 3, are out here on 32 or 26 lap bowl tires. Now, you mentioned it, right? Trevor Edwards, Aaron Johnson, the 2 substitute drivers today. Nothing to lose for these drivers by going out on a limb and attempting some strategy. Well, meanwhile, a lot of the drivers who did pit JB are on that cut line battle.
Yeah, 100%. That's a good point.
So the reset here is we work lap 35 here from the IRP, Indianapolis Raceway Park. Trevor Edwards, Aaron Johnson on 32 lap old tires. Jason Kratky in third on 26 lap old tires. Daniel Park, Andrew Harris, the top 5. Shane Wolf, Johnson, Radke, DeLong, and Spees, the top 10. The iRacing.com safety vehicle has long made its left-hand turn into the safety of pit lane. Trevor Edwards has elected the inside lane for this restart and roars to life once again is Brownsburg, Indiana.
Another quick caution here. We got Andrew Harris, Jason Kratky, Kyle Johnson, James Shane Wolf involved in this one. Still some more damage occurring up ahead. Dylan Godinez, David Flanagan.
Huge incident.
But look at this here.
And, Kratky and Harris get together.
Yeah.
Big time incident.
Right in front of the field.
Johnson in the wall and nowhere to go. And right there, JB, that's kind of what we were talking about, the Dover analogy, nowhere to go.
And this is further back. You see, oh, wow, Wally Babb with a hard hit.
Oh, man. What a lick.
Yeah, we'll go back and take a look at this again here. This was a little bit behind the incident. Man.
Oh,
John
Merriman, one
got
of those
a large
cut line
piece
drivers.
of that as well. And they don't stop here. We go up to Godinez.
Flanagan.
And follow this 88 truck here because he ends up in another incident, I believe. Yeah, Radke is
right
in the
there.
middle of the track.
And Kyle Johnson, Flanagan, and Radke all get together.
Right here, just 3 wide in the middle of the corner. Shane Wolf actually got a little decent piece of that as well. And he was lucky, probably looking at his rearview mirror, saw what was behind him.
There was about 4 or 5 crashes that all kind of just jumbled on one another here.
Oh,
see
man,
their
that
big,
was a tough
huge
lick
impact.
by Wally Babb.
Yeah, 2 of those cut line drivers, massive trouble there.
And you'll see it right here, how quickly things can change. Gets a lot of wheel into it, and it catches.
Oh.
And when it catches, man.
Just the littlest of overcorrects, JB, can terminate a day just like that.
Much
And
like we saw.
so many trucks
Yeah.
involved in that one.
Lots of damage to the front like we saw with the 9. There were probably about 10 trucks involved in this one. Not everybody terrible damage. 48 looks like it's in decent shape.
Wally Babb, Jeffrey Radke, Andrew Harris, Sean Corcoran, Sean Merriman, David Flanagan, Dylan Godinez, Austin DeLong, Jason Kratky, Jeffrey Vickery, James Shane Wolf.
Man.
Yeah, that's
the
at
laundry
least 10.
list. Well, we'll take this chance. We'll go to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll restart this thing with the one under 100 laps to go.
Welcome, racers, back to the virtual Indianapolis Raceway Park. The restart, and Shane Wolf is in the wall. Maybe that's the result of some of the damage, and the caution comes out. Ben Park in trouble.
Ben Park, Jeffrey Vickery, Kyle Johnson look like they're involved in this one. Let's take a quick look at it. Oh, Ben just gets loose.
Oh,
Chris
man,
Luttrell
nowhere
right
to
there
go
to meet him.
Trell, big hits. But nothing race-ending there.
This was just behind it there. You see the 51 and the 48. Oh, that's just a little separate incident in the back. No.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, wow. That could have been big. But it looks like they kept it under wraps back there, and then you see the aftermath there up top.
Wow.
Yeah.
A little physical at these little, is this a bull ring? Is this what you would call a bull ring?
You know, on the
Rings
iRacing
big.
service, I think it's close enough to qualifying. But no, it's actually not, surprisingly.
But man, it can drive like it sometimes, man.
Take one more look at this incident with Ben Park. And it just looks like to me on corner entry just gets loose, and unfortunately just really not much you can do about it at that point. Does a good job of, though, just, you know, locking it down, keeping up there by the wall, and not pulling down into traffic. He's going to come get some of that damage fixed. A couple more of our drivers on pit road right now as well. Just, you know, you're going to see this probably Emerson the rest of the night, just fixing little ounces of damage if they can. The problem is here, you just don't have that big pace lap to help you out.
Yeah, you'll be pitting all day. So most of the time when you get to this point, JB, you just get it to where it runs good enough, essentially, and we can also kind of, you know, by virtue of our short track races this season, kind of see where the pace of this race might be going, and it might not be necessary to have a truck in tip-top shape to still be able to compete in this race. I mean, James Shanewolf, I wonder, you know, he's probably got some damage on his truck from that wreck, but because of track position being so important, I don't think he's come in.
Yeah, I agree with you. We haven't seen him come in. I think that's a big piece of it. And here you're not worried about aerodynamics, right? You kind of indicated it right there. So you kind of just, like you said, Emerson, you just run it, and as long as the wheels are pointed the right way, good to go.
Yeah, I mean, with a track like this, eventually everyone's going to have some damage.
Yep.
Well, the iRacing.com safety vehicle finds its safety in the pit lane. It's still Trevor Edwards. It's still Aaron Johnson. Green flag back in the air. Tight restart for the top two. And some carnage behind. Kyle Spees, Dalton McKinney in trouble. 36-46. Bring out caution number 6.
Seems like we've gotten in a period of just some quick cautions. We'll get a look at it here. I think Spees was in that. Oh, he was the beginning of it. Oh, same thing Ben did almost, it looks like. Just a little bit further down the racing surface. See him just turn it down on corner entry, and the truck just goes right around. And oh man, McKinney had such tough luck so far this season. A driver we know can win races here in SRN, and had a great run going last week before something happened as well. And unfortunately, it's going to be another night at that. This is a good distance shot of it. You'll just see 36 turns down the corner, and the truck just does not stay underneath him. Very similar to what we saw Ben do on that last caution.
And it's just, again, this track is deceiving. You think you're going fast enough, or slow enough, I should say, to make these corners. And by the time you turn in, you're carrying way too much speed. The rear end just wants to pass the front end, and you can end up in situations like that.
Yeah. Luckily for those guys, I don't see any terrible damage. And like we were just talking about before that last restart, you can have some cosmetic damage, and you're going to be just fine. It's the engine damage and the suspension damage you want to stay away from. So looks like both those guys have done that. They'll be able to continue. But they're definitely going to lose track position in the process. Speaking of track position, our top two still have not pitted at this point, and they don't really have to. As far as fuel mileage goes, you really only have to make one stop. They do have 3 sets of tires, and it's a very abrasive surface, so you're going to want some tires. But if you're up here with Trevor and Aaron, you're not going to give up that, you know, track position, because why would you?
Absolutely not. It's incredibly difficult to make a full overtake here, and then you need laps to set it up, but they're not getting these laps right now. And one more point on Dalton McKinney, he was still mathematically alive to point his way in almost, but he is now for sure in a must-win situation.
Yeah. But as a driver who very well could go out next week and win. I mean, we know he's got speed, and we've seen it. So, and don't forget, back this year, you know, the last chance qualifier. There's going to be that extra playoff position that's added, you know, in that week 17 race. So, you know, even if the cards don't fall in his favor and he doesn't win next week, he has a chance still at the playoffs.
Well, we'll try this again. The iRacing.com safety vehicle finds its safety down the pit lane, the field in the hands of Trevor Edwards, and green flag back in the air, and it's lockstep formation for the top two. Caution again on the speedway. This one, Austin DeLong in trouble, one of those cut line drivers.
I'm wondering if we're just seeing a theme of the same thing happen here. It's like a single truck incident. He gets in the back of the 54, but no real damage when it comes to that. I saw Godinez might have been involved in this a little bit as well. Let's get a look here. Oh, kind of just Godinez changed lanes and it just jammed him up. And unfortunately, his teammate Austin paid the price.
Yeah, Cracky, I mean, he's just kind of hanging out at this point. Cracky's had his fair share of bad luck to this point of the race, and DeLong maybe trying to capitalize on some of that bad luck. Maybe got in a little too aggressive into the corner, caught up to the rear end of the 54, maybe faster than he anticipated, and there's the contact, and they go around. And so Austin DeLong, no big damage on the truck, but I imagine maybe a spent set of tires as he comes into a lime green war wagon.
Yeah.
Or red and white 22.
whatever works. Well, we'll take a couple more minutes here while everybody's re-racking. We'll hear one more message from one of our partners. We'll be right back.
Welcome, race fans, back to the virtual Indianapolis Raceway Park here in virtual Brownsburg, Indiana. Once again, I am SRN Jonathan Byer alongside the call tonight. And we are working lap 55 here from the Indianapolis Raceway Park. It's still Trevor Edwards, it's still Aaron Johnson on the front row in this flurry of cautions. They have yet to have made it to the pit lane for their service tonight, but at this point, they have not needed it. So we'll try it again as the iRacing.com safety vehicle will make that hard left-hand turn into the safety of pit lane. Edwards, Johnson, Shane Wolf, Daniel Park, Cunningham, Green, Harris, Sidor, Corcoran, Vickery, the top 10. Green flag back in the air. A good start from the 89, but almost too good of a start. He has to jump out of it. The 14 of Shane Wolf all over the tailgate, and everyone fanning out behind.
Cunningham with a moment off too there, but regathers it. Black flag for Aaron Johnson in the 89.
Oh.
Just hearing that coming down from race control. That could be a restart violation, I'm imagining is what that is. So now he's got the difficult task of trying to find his way down where he can get on pit road.
Well, that makes sense, and we saw it, JB. He got a good start, almost too good of a start.
Yeah.
And almost passed the 71, but race control deeming that an illegal restart violation. 4089 machine. He's now clear to 14 to Shane Wolf. I'd imagine that Ream number 89 will be heading down to pit lane this time as he drops down to the bottom side of the racetrack.
Right there. Good job by race control, just getting all over it, making sure everything's called fair and square. And they, you know, we saw it affect last week's race, but at the end of the day, Emerson, you got to play by the rules.
You got to play by the rules. And by the way, Trevor Edwards just ran the fastest lap of the race a couple laps ago, JB, on 57 lap tires. He ran a 21.53. This guy, he is out to lunch, man. He's got a half-second lead over James Shane Wolf, and it continues. And caution on the speedway. That's Jeffrey Vickery. That's not the direction you're supposed to be facing, bud.
No, that's not the way that 51 truck usually is facing. It happens here. Merriman's on the apron, but I don't think it has anything to do with it.
Oh, Sidor contacts the 51.
Just
and
running out of space situation. I mean, you know he's there, but I think it's similar to what we saw earlier with McKinney
and Brady.
Yeah,
and
yeah. You don't know he's there till he's there. And again, luckily for those guys, no big damage on either truck. They'll be able to continue. Just fine.
Leader's in. Trevor Edwards.
All right, so Edwards finally decides it's time to get some service, and it looks like he's going to drag a few trucks down with him, but not a lot, honestly. We see a couple of the Park Brothers machines, but not a lot.
Well, we're just shy halfway.
So, I mean, that's a good split. I mean, some of the guys that came down maybe last caution or 2 cautions ago, you know, we're not talking about a lot of green flag laps here. They're probably still okay as far as, you know, definitely okay as far as fuel goes, but tires, they're probably just fine. We'll see, though. Like, the one thing you think about Emerson in races like this is track position. And, you know, we've seen that 71. He's done great at restarts. We saw him set a really fast lap there at last green flag run, but what's that going to be like in the pack? That's a whole different set of circumstances. And your truck handle's different, too.
Yeah, this is going to be the first time Trevor Edwards is in traffic, by the way. One of the higher-rated drivers in the field. We saw Trevor Edwards, correct me if I'm wrong, run before, and he came out and kind of won Iowa in a one-off. So Trevor Edwards has, you know, that short track prowess, but this is, if anything's been evident tonight, it might be a little more difficult to work your way through this field and get out of it in one piece.
Yeah, we've seen him a couple times before around here. He's definitely more of your short track specialist, so I think he doesn't mind coming in and subbing in races like tonight where it kind of fits his thing. But I think we also saw him run at Talladega with us earlier this year and came home with a 3rd place finish. So not scared of the big tracks too, but definitely this is more of his bread and butter. And you know, Emerson, short tracks were never my friend. So it does take a special set of skills that I never had that some drivers just do. And I think he's definitely one of those. I think James Shane Wolf and Andrew Harris are some of those guys as well, and that's why you're seeing them kind of all up front right now.
Well, here we go with the restart this time. James Shane Wolf, Jason Green, the front row. Harris, Flanagan, Godinez, Johnson, McKinney, Luttrell, Edwards, Daniel Park, Connor Cunningham, the top 10. Racing resumes from IRP. One lap removed from the restart. Shane Wolf leads here as 65 laps complete, 75 laps to go. Jason Green now trying to fend off a hard charging Andrew Harris, and Harris has been charging, well, all day. Yeah. Still searching for that 2nd position. And Flanagan, Darlington race winner here, trying to find his way into the podium positions.
If I'm not mistaken, this might be the first time we talked about Jason Green tonight. up here in P number 2, but a driver who is really good at tracks that just take a little extra level of skill, in my opinion, and so I'm not surprised to see him up here. But I mean, once again, you know, you got 3 Park Brothers racing trucks in the top 10, and Emerson, we talked pre-race about how impressive their team championship lead was, and I think you kind of see it here. We've had a mix of chaos and battles and all kinds of stuff, but they're still putting trucks in the top 10.
Absolutely. And, oh, trouble in the back. That is the 86. That is not the 86.
The 86 was involved. There he is.
Oh,
He was
that
the
is
one
the
that was
86.
still
Michael Sidor.
up against the wall. What happened here with Sidor?
The long and Sidor
Ooh,
net
netcode
coded.
for
Oh
sure.
my goodness.
Wow, that was terrible netcode.
That's one of the largest net-coded contacts
Oh my goodness.
I've ever seen.
So, for our viewers that heard us talk about netcode earlier,
Oh my goodness.
that's what we're talking about. He might have been a little loose, but I don't believe the 86 would have went around right there. I kind of find that hard to believe. You get a really good look at it right here. Oh yeah, definitely that's netcode. That truck was there pretty solid even before.
I mean,
Points you got there. That's kind of crazy, actually.
that's a large distance for netcode. I mean, a motorcycle could lane split that, man. I mean, that was huge.
And you'll see, unfortunately for Kradke, screened by the 17 in front of him, he had no idea that the 86 was going to meet him nose to nose in the corner. Right there.
Yeah, just trucking his lap out of nowhere.
Tough luck for Kradke, but yeah, Emerson. I gotta agree with you there. That's probably maybe not the most egregious netcode, but the biggest distance netcode I've seen.
It's one of it for sure, man.
Yeah.
That. I mean, I hope
I'm at a loss for words on that one.
Sidor because Sidor did nothing wrong.
Yeah, and Race Control does review all those incidents, and you know sometimes even when there's netcode, they kind of have to rule on the side that there's going to be some contact inevitably, right? You kind of know when that's going to happen, but that's when Race Control's probably looking at it right now and like, oh my goodness, there's nothing either of those drivers could have done any different right there to avoid this caution. So. Just a product of racing virtually, as they say.
I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, we have people all across the country and, well, he's no longer racing tonight, and a Canadian joined this field on a weekly basis. And, you know, all gathering at one racetrack, albeit virtually. You know, that's a lot of different computers, a lot of different routers, a lot of different networking and machinery and devices working to communicate with one another. There's bound to be a little bit of a give when you're talking about, you know, 25, 30 plus different people all across North America trying to all, you know, compete for one spot virtually.
100%, you're spot on. And iRacing sometimes just disagrees about where your truck is compared to somebody else, and that's the end result. Could be just a potential extension of that server issue when we talked about the blinking a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Absolutely, could be. James Shane Wolf, the race leader, 71 in the books, coming to 73 here. Shane Wolf, green, the top 2, and not going.
We added a pace lap here. Admins could be trying to sort out maybe an extra penalty or somebody's out of line or something.
Not sure why the pace car came back out for 400 feet of racetrack, but it comes back up and we'll go back in.
Yeah, that's a quick little up and down from the pace car there. Great work by the pace car driver. Yeah, don't know if he has a name in iRacing, but good work, good work.
We'll try it again. Now 72 laps complete. We worked 73. Coming to 74. Shane Wolf, green the front row. Now we're racing once again from IRP. Big time battle for that second position. Andrew Harris trying to nose ahead. He's got the nose entering. Turns 1 and 2 ahead, and he does clear Jason Green. Green tries to get the crossover, tries to park the bus on Flanagan. Now nearly into the wall is Harris. Here comes Green back to the inside.
Just because they're teammates doesn't mean they're not going to try for all they can to take it from one another. Really impressive, nice clean battle so far between these two. Shows how you can make passes in different areas. Harris really aggressive on entry. If you set up a nice corner exit, that's sometimes all you need here on a track like IRP. And that was the difference for Green there for a second, but Harris super strong on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. And Andrew Harris, by the way, has a win. His teammate, Jason Green, is trying to race his way into the playoffs. Now Flanagan getting physical, 55 and 5, really going on one another here for P3.
And there's Trevor Edwards right behind these guys, the guy who was kind of in control of this thing before he came down pit road. Doesn't really want to tangle with this probably, might let it sort it out if he's patient. But great battle here for P number 3. And Flanagan's not going to give it up, drives it right on the door of the 55.
Yeah, Flanagan is not afraid to use those fenders. He says they pulled him on there for a reason, might as well use them. And goes into 3 again. Jason Green giving more room. Edwards now finds a way to the outside of the 5 machine. And now Flanagan is preoccupied with the driver behind. So Green clears to the podium, and Edwards makes easy work at the 5. Trevor Edwards back to P4.
Aaron Johnson back here as well. That the other driver we saw up there earlier, he's still trying to make his way through, and he's just in the hornet's nest right here in the backside of the top 10.
He just served the penalty less than 10 laps to go.
Yeah.
And he is deep. I mean, he's still inside the top 10, going for the top 5.
Yep. He's giving it all he can, and Edwards now challenging Jason Green for that podium position, and maybe it is just like the 3 or 4 laps fresher tires, but he made that look pretty easy.
I mean, that was quite the pass. He, as soon as he went in, he knew he had it. Trevor Edwards making easy work for Jason Green, looks forward. Battles here. This is Kyle Johnson, Dalton McKinney, Daniel Park in this mix, Connor Cunningham right behind. Godinez sideways, trying not to wreck into the side of the 5. And a lot of these guys are cut line guys, and McKinney is in a must win, and Kyle Johnson does have a win, but trying to improve his playoff seeding, and a whole mess of trucks here deep in the heart of the top 10.
Yeah, and we talked about, you know, some of these guys, they had a little misfortune earlier in the race, but not counting them out yet because they're still in it, and even on the backside of the top 10.
Daniel Park, Kyle Johnson get together. Kyle Johnson backwards on the racetrack into turn 1 retaining wall. And another stoppage in action tonight. We saw most of it live. This happened mostly on the bottom of your screen. They just met. Turn 4, Calamity Corner, JB.
Yeah, just off the corner, they just meet. Probably, Emerson, the 4th time we've seen this today. This one in a slightly different variation. It was a little further down the front stretch away from corner exit that we've seen. But, you know, you'll just see that coming off the corner, the 48 chases up. And, you know, the 7 had more room to the wall there as well. I think you can kind of put that on both drivers. But,
I think a lot of it is these guys are just, I don't want to say scared, but they don't want to get stuck on that wall and lose momentum. They don't want to damage their trucks. And they see they get really close to it, and for a split second there, you're out of your comfort zone. So you just turn the wheel just a little bit, get yourself a little more room away from that wall. Maybe instead of 3 inches, you want to be 6 inches away from that wall. Daniel Park did that, but he didn't have another few inches to spare. Made contact with the 48, and now Kyle Johnson was spun around, and we have another yellow.
Yep. And a few more drivers down pit road this time. Jason Green, and Shane Wolf, you know, David Flanagan. Some guys we saw there in the top 5, Emerson, they came down pit road here with 56 laps to go. So this is probably their last stop, if I had to guess, because you're not going to want to give up any more track
I would imagine there's
position.
no more service for pretty much everyone in this field other than Andrew Harris.
I agree.
Unless it pertains to damage.
Correct.
Everyone has now more than likely made their final fuel stop. They've gotten some virtual Goodyear Eagles on their trucks, and it's just Andrew Harris out here on comparably 44 lap old, 45 lap old tires.
Yeah, and you're talking to
The
probably
drivers who
about
just came in.
what, half of those green flag laps, maybe. I mean, this
That's
last
fair.
run we had was a decent little run, little sprint there, if you will. But basically, from 9th on back, you're going to have fresh tires because everybody that came down pit road that time took 4 fresh tires. So the top 9 are going to be on a little bit older stuff. People like Trevor Edwards, Connor Cunningham, Aaron Johnson, they're not quite as old as what we see Harris or Victory or Radke in because they've come down a little bit more recently. But still, a heat cycle is a heat cycle. So I'm kind of on board with what Jason Green, James Shamewolf have done here. They've taken their last stop out of the equation early, and if they're hoping that this kind of settles in here, because if it does, I think they're going to be one of the ones picking them up and putting them down.
I think so. It will be interesting to see how Trevor Edwards runs compared to the drivers who just came in on lap 84. So a restart brewing? No, we will go again.